This a Patriots party. Hey, we put America first. This a Patriots party.
Donald
Hey.
J. Trump. It's an easy answer.
Abortion. These are real issues that we are
Real
dealing with.
Had one. Death started to throw a house party on Friday. Death threw a block party on Saturday. But early Sunday morning, love got out. I say this because I want you to understand.
I took my notes, and then that's what you need to know. I took my notes.
I want to be there, but I have
What you mean? You can follow the world, I'd rather follow the King. Christ, I'm not on the fence, I don't lean. I get a new hater every time my phone ring. I'm hated by the world, but that means that I'm blessed. I keep it real and I let God handle the rest.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Patriots Den podcast. Listen, folks, listen. I shouldn't have to say much about what today is and why this show is going to differ from the rest of the shows that I have done, because it is very obvious. It is very clear. The answer was clear cut. It doesn't get more clearer than this. Yesterday was election day. Yesterday was election day. And so I think that it is very vital. It's vital that we look through and we have a recap, right? So let me start the live on this end. Right, so we can get into that midterms recap. That's really what it is. It's the midterms recap here for the Patriots Den podcast. And so I want to go through, and I'm going to go state by state, people. So we're going to go state by state, because what we saw in 2022, what we saw in 2022 should have surprised absolutely no one. Yet it did. It surprised me. It's guaranteed to surprise all of you watching online. I know it surprised all of you watching online. Mary saying hello from Virginia. Hello, how are you? I know it surprised all of you online, right? So we're going to dive right wing Maximilian. I'm going to check your DMs real quick. I think we're going to bring you on early. We're going to bring him on early. I have some friends that I'm going to bring on a bit early. Check your DMs. And I just sent you something there. And we're going to really dive into something here, because I'm going to have some friends of mine come on, and We're going to get their take on the election. You're going to get my take on the election. And we're going to have a good time tonight. Is that all right with y'all? Can we just sit back and have a real good time? Have a real good relaxation tonight? Can we do that? And let's just look at some of these elections. So what I'm going to do now, right, is I'm going to start sharing my screen here. And I want you guys to look at what we're going to be looking at real quick. Now, I want to, because I know when he gets on here, I already know what he wants to talk about. I want to talk about the same thing. I want to talk about the election in Arizona, the governor's election. I want to take a look at that right now. I really want to take a look at that right now. Let's see if I can put y'all somewhere where y'all can see here as well. I really want to take a look at this Arizona election because the Arizona election is critical. It's critical in us saving democracy. That's the word I'm looking for, democracy. So as you can see, there you go. It's pretty red. It's pretty red. Now, Carrie Lake is down by 3,000 votes, right? I just wanted y'all to see what she's down by, right? Boom. I just want y'all to kind of see what she's down by. And then I can stop my screen there, right? She's down by 3,000 votes. But Carrie Lake was a very strong competitor. When you look at Texas, Florida, Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama, South Carolina, these are Republican states, right? That should have gone Republican like that. And that's what they did. But when you look at an election like Arizona, right? When you look at an election like Arizona, I want to show you some of the counties here, right? We cannot be surprised by this. Look at Phoenix. Look at the Maricopa County where Phoenix is. Phoenix is going to make up majority of the vote that we're going to see in Arizona. Carrie Lake is not far behind. What hurt Carrie Lake? Because if you look at the polls, it seems like she was going to blast off. You look at Navajo County. Carrie Lake, slim majority winning in these areas, right? It's not that big red wave that we thought we were going to see. What stopped it? Well, I'll tell you exactly what stopped it. Before I tell you exactly what stopped it, I want everyone to welcome Right Wing Maximilian, a great friend of mine. Max, how are you?
I'm doing well, baby Maga. Thank you for having me on here. It's an honor. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. Now, Max, yesterday, when I was watching your live, you brought up something that most people don't want to hear. Yeah, most people don't want to look at it right now. I don't want to look at it right now. You brought up cheating in the election. Yeah. And I don't want to get, kicked off of any platforms.
Of course.
But I want to show you the map here of Nevada and Arizona, and you can just go with your take because I know you have a pretty strong opinion on Arizona. Go ahead.
So, my opinion on Arizona, this is just a possibility. It's not an official claim. It's not my official argument, but I do think that it is a possibility that Arizona could have had some election fraud. And the reason why is because of the irregularities that the state was experiencing in the morning of yesterday. And the reason why I believe that is because you take a look at these machines that were being used. It was the same machines that were used in the previous election. It was the Dominion machines. And on top of that, these machines that were used, they were certified. They were tested by they were even certified by the U.S. government, by the Federal Election Commission. And then all of a sudden, they're just broken not on this day, but yesterday. And because of that, I'm not saying that it is true, but I do think that there's a possibility that there could be election fraud. Now, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I'll admit it. I'll admit that I'm wrong. if there is evidence contradicting my point. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is some evidence of election fraud.
Right. So I wanna take a look at Arizona here real quick. When we went to sleep last night, people, Carrie Lake was down by a pretty big margin, right? It looked like it was pretty much over for her. And I kept telling everyone, hey, these are only early voting. This is
That's
only
true.
early voting. When you looked at the map, what was in, right? You had Pima County, that was coming through. Santa Cruz County, right? That was coming through. So you had these majority blue counties coming in. You had some of these counties right here. They were also projecting blue because those were your early votes. Those were your early votes. That wasn't what we are seeing now, which is same day election voting, which leans heavily Republican. So now I ask you, with the irregularities that you speak of and things like that, if Carrie Lake does win, would you still claim irregularities or fraud?
I think that there could be still the possibility, yes. And the reason why is because, again, like, these machines were tested, they were certified, and then automatically, like, they just broke yesterday. Now, do I believe that this is official, concrete evidence? No, I don't. I'm just saying it's a possibility, and it's more of like an allegation. But again, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But yeah. However, even if Carrie Lake wins, I would still believe like that there is still the possibility, because I think she could have won by a lot more than what she could possibly win with right now, which is about like 50%. Again, I could be wrong, but yeah.
So I want to hear just a bit, and I want to shift us to the Senate election in Pennsylvania. I want to shift us there. And we seen John Fetterman, he flipped it from a Republican hold to a Democrat hold. And still votes are coming in, making it even more and more blue. Do you think there were irregularities there, or do you think that there was just a bad candidate pick?
I think it was a mixture of both, honestly, because Dr. Oz, he wasn't really popular in Pennsylvania. Because of that, I don't think many people even, I mean, this could be wrong, but I think because Dr. Oz was the candidate, not many people really showed up to vote, especially also because John Fetterman, I mean, he had a pretty bad experience at the debate, where he basically made a ton of gaffes, a ton of mistakes. And I think that would have increased Dr. Oz's chance of winning. But here's the thing with Pennsylvania, and I don't know if I read this correctly, but the judge, they basically said that these mail-in ballots, they're not going to be counted. But then last minute, they said that they will be counted up until November 14th. And I think that right there is just extremely sketch. And, with mail-in ballots, you can easily commit electoral fraud with those. And because of that, I wouldn't be surprised if those mail-in ballots were used for Fetterman. Now, again, this again is a possibility. I'm not going to directly jump to conclusions, but I think that there is a possibility. On top of that, though, when you take a look at the some polling places ran out of paper. Now, I would like to see where these polling places are located. If they are located in majority Republican areas, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that may not be directly voter fraud, but I do think that could have caused people in these Republican areas to not vote at all, causing Dr. Oz to lose some votes. Again, that's a possibility. And again, I need to look into that more. But yeah.
Right. So a big issue that is very pressing, even for me, is I was talking to someone at CPAC, Liddell Buggs, and he was explaining how Trump is a kingmaker and not a king. And looking at the election results, when you look at places like Pennsylvania, we look at Georgia, we look at Arizona, we look at Nevada, these were all places, not necessarily Nevada, but Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania more so. They were Trump pick candidates. and they didn't do well. They either lost or they're trailing badly, and the election still has not been called, but they're still trailing horribly. So do you think that it is time for the Republican Party to maybe move on from Trump and start looking at the other option, which is Ron DeSantis?
That's a really good question that you have there. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think that, like, here's the thing with DeSantis. I think DeSantis ideas are good. If DeSantis wasn't governor, I think that, I think that DeSantis would be ideal. But that's mainly for more religious reasons. I'm a Catholic and I would support, DeSantis because he's a Catholic. But when it comes to, choosing Trump over DeSantis, I mean, I think that we should still be with Trump, but I think that Trump needs to understand that he needs to make better endorsements, because many of these endorsements that he's been making have just not been good. And these people who he's endorsing, they're not people who aren't that relatable with the people of the state. Like Dr. Oz, for example. I don't think Dr. Oz can really relate to the people of Pennsylvania. Now, John Fetterman, he tried to do that, and he was unsuccessful. But because Dr. Oz was not necessarily connected with the people of Pennsylvania, I think he failed. And I think that that's something Trump needs to recognize. I think Trump needs to support candidates who are, connected with their state. Now, do I believe that we should abandon Trump? No, but I do think that we should kind of start moving towards DeSantis as time goes on. I think we should, once Trump, wins in 2024, I think that's when we should start, moving towards DeSantis.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the Republican primary was today and it was Donald Trump versus Ron DeSantis, who would have that vote? Who would have your vote?
I mean, me personally, I would still vote for Donald Trump because I want him to finish off what he started. But, let's talk about, any future election. I would vote for DeSantis. Yes. Or let's say, sorry to cut you off. If DeSantis wasn't governor, I think I would possibly choose DeSantis. But again, it's a question that, I'm still a bit undecided over. But yeah.
Right. Before I let you go, would you mind explaining to the people, what the flag behind you is? Because I
course, yes.
You're on the platform, so you get that voice out.
Of course, yeah. So this flag right here, before anybody assumes that it's some fascist flag or some socialist flag, I get that all the time. It's the flag of the People's National Party. It's a third party that I'm part of. I'm the chief of content creation of the party. And we're a party that is socially conservative, pro-family, pro-life, pro-gun, Christian nationalist. In economics, though, we are more like center-right, more moderate. We believe that, in nationalism, in terms of economics, like, putting American jobs first, putting American products first. We also want to defend small business. We want to defend, basically, we put American interests over corporate interests or globalist interests or progressive or socialist interests. And yeah, now, before anybody, believes that this party goes against every single Republican, we actually don't. If anything, this party, if Trump runs, there's a possibility of us endorsing Trump. But again, I'm not going to directly comment on that because, the future can have a different story. But, we endorsed some Republican candidates. We endorsed DeSantis for governor. We endorsed Stefano Forte in New York City. So, yeah, like this party, it doesn't completely reject the GOP. We support some GOP politicians, but we also reject a lot of other politicians like, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, basically that whole group of people who are establishment or normie conservatives, pretty much.
Hey, there you have the People's National Party. And how can they find you on social media platforms?
Let me actually send you the Instagram link right now. We have an Instagram account. I think we have a Twitter account, but I'll send you the Instagram account right now. So, you can have some information about us.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to talk to you about this party after the stream. I'd like to talk to you about this because we actually had a change in leadership recently. Actually, I'll just talk about it now. before, when you were on that live stream, I think you remember that live stream we did like a few weeks ago. The leader of the party back then was a bit more left-wing oriented. We have a new leader, and he's more right-wing oriented and a lot more conservative than, the previous leader we had. I'm not trying to trash on the previous leader. He was an okay guy. I'm just saying that because of the, change in leadership and, somewhat of a change in ideology.
Right.
So, yeah.
So
let me send you the
definitely
link right now.
Definitely send it to me, and
There we
I'll
go.
be talking to you behind the scenes. This is Right Wing Maximilian, everyone. I highly recommend giving this young man a follow. We're gonna bring in another guest here in a moment, but Right Wing Maximilian, thank you for coming on.
Of course, thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Right Wing Maximilian. So yesterday, me and him, we had the discussion about whether or not the election was rigged, or were there any infirmities that were in the election. And it got pretty serious to the point where it was like, you're wrong, right? And you get to the point where you start pointing fingers at people. Kayla, how are you? Right? And you kind of start pointing fingers at people, and that's not necessarily what we want to do. That's not necessarily the direction that we're looking for. This next person that I'm bringing in is a former citizen of the great state of Florida, and moved from the great state of Florida here to the great state of Texas. Cordero, check your DMs. Right? And I just sent him the link, and he's going to come on, and I want to talk to him about the Trump aspect of things, because he is still rocking hard with Trump. Listen, I came out and I told y'all I'm not big on Trump right now. Right? I think he made a lot of weird, lazy, lousy endorsements that fed into his ego, that hurt us, caused us to maybe lose the Senate this year. Mitch, there was definitely a red wave in the state of Texas, and that's where you live, so that's what you should be concerned about. Beto just could not get it done, could he? Beto couldn't get it done for you, and that's okay. But we have these situations, right? So I'm going to bring Cordero in here, and me and him are going to talk real quick about the future of Trump. Where do we go from here when it comes to Donald Trump? Cordero, can you hear me?
Hold on, I can't hear nothing. Hold on.
Okay, we'll let him get that straightened out, right? And we're going to talk about that. But I feel as if Trump has been more of a hurt than he has a help. But Cordero doesn't think so. Cordero thinks that we're still on the right path to victory, so to speak. And so we'll see exactly how this is going to play out, because when you look at the election, hold on, I want to show you all the elections once again. Let me do it again. I want to show all the election once again. When you look at the Senate, let's go look at the Senate. And we look at the state of Pennsylvania. Fetterman, who should not have won at all, won by 190,000 votes. 190. Let's think about that, right? And so that hurt. And the Republicans, we are now in a situation where we have to step back, and we have to re-strategize and come up with a new plan, because we should have won Pennsylvania, right? We should have won Georgia. We should have won Arizona. Surprisingly, we just might win Nevada. Very surprising to see Nevada is coming up. That is very surprising, right? So if we can continue this trend that we saw, where a lot of these elections did go Republican. Republicans were also able to take the House. We didn't get the red wave we wanted, but we got a red ripple. Right? It's as if somebody threw a pebble into the water. Mitch, you want to come up? Okay, Mitch. We'll send Mitch. Okay, people. This is big here. This is Mitch's first time on here. We're going to send Mitch the link to join. Let me find. I don't even have, right? Because this is a Democrat who, oddly enough, doesn't realize that he's not that guy anymore. Mitch, check your DMs. And that's right. The Democrats, they outvoted us. Democrats aren't good. The Democrats aren't popular. There's nothing fun about them. They just outvoted us. So now we have to come back and we have to say, okay, how can we re-strategize? How can we go and say, okay, that wasn't right? How can we go and tell Trump, hey, don't go down to Georgia for this runoff? Let's get someone like Brian Kemp to campaign with Walker. Right? What if we do that? Imagine what would happen. And then John Robert Drake came out and he said, well, 65% of Gen Z voted Democrat on issues of abortion and democracy. But no one's threatening democracy. No one's doing that. The idea of the threat to democracy is a lie that was made and built on by Democrats who knew that they were going to lose in the midterms. They knew they were going to lose in the midterms, and that's what happened. So this democracy thing was a lie, right? The abortion thing, I knew was going to hurt us. I knew as soon as the Dobbs situation came out that was going to hurt us in ways that we couldn't have expected. And so we have to re-strategize. We have to re-strategize. Looking at places like Texas, you're saying, we're good. But when you're looking at places like Arizona, Pennsylvania, Nevada, these are more moderate, more blue areas, more blue territory. You don't win like that. We never have, and we never will. We have to start making that breaking point. We have to start finding that common ground. I want to take a look at California for a second. I really want to look at the California Senate election. 1 second here. Because this tells us a lot of, oh my gosh, a lot of what we need to know. Mitch, how are you?
What's up, baby MAGA? What's up, buddy? Happy post-election day.
Happy post-election day.
Glad you bring me on. I think you gotta bring the Democrats on and let us toot our horn a little bit. So I appreciate that.
Right. So, as you know, everyone's favorite governor, Greg Abbott, won re-election right here in our great state of Texas.
But that's no news.
No, that is great news. And
I mean,
we
you
saw
guys.
Ron DeSantis holding his seat.
I mean, it was for Abbott to lose. So, you guys did what you're supposed to do, right? You took care of home court in Texas. You took care of home court in Florida. You took care of somewhat home court in Georgia. Those are things you're supposed to do, right? But there was no red wave. You got a runoff between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. I think it benefits Raphael Warnock because I think Herschel Walker benefited from the fact that people was really voting for Brian Kemp. And when he went to vote for Brian Kemp, they just voted Republican all the way down. Now Herschel got to get people to get up out their bed and exclusively vote for Herschel Walker. I just don't think he's going to get the same turnout. So I think we're going to pull away with Herschel. We pulled away in Arizona, I believe, with Katie Hobbs and governor. We got the governor in Maryland. I like that as well. I think we lost 1 seat in the House, and I think we gained 2 seats in the Senate. So this is not a red wave at all. I like the friction between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis that's helping us. I do agree with you, Baby MAGA, and I disagree with Cadero. I think Donald Trump has been destroying the Republican Party since 2017 when he walked down the escalator.
We have had 15 pickups in the House for Republicans. I don't know where he's getting his news from.
Yeah, like Trump. Hold on. Trump went 219 to 16 last night. That's 73%. So 73% of the people that was running is not going to be in office. How is that bad? Like I could agree with the Dr. Oz shit. I wasn't too keen on him anyway.
Right.
But you're not going to sit here and say that 219 to 16 is bad. Okay, that's so, like Nick Saban numbers, like that's Nick Saban numbers. Alabama don't go to the playoffs every year,
right. So I want to people who, when they hear 219, they get happy. Let me help y'all out here. When he says 219, right? We have to look at the House races. This is your House races. We had 15 pickups, 207 to 187 is the current balance of power right now. So when he says 219, this is counting Senate elections, which I believe is only really one, and that's J.D. Vance. And the rest of them are the House elections. But what we wanted to see more of is this. Absolutely. You want to see all of this red. That's beautiful. We love it. But what did we need to see more of? Is right here in the Senate elections. We would have liked to see Pennsylvania red. We would have liked to see Joe Pinion, who didn't have that backing, to go red in New York. We would have liked Georgia not to go to the runoff, but to go red.
That's
Masters.
That's New York, man. That's New York, man. Like, we know what it is in New York. We know what it is in Pennsylvania. You got Pittsburgh. You got Philly. You got Harrisburg. Those are Democratic strongholds. It's going to be hard beating those already as it is. Now, yes, okay. Now look at some of the blue spots. Rochester, that's heavily Democrat. Buffalo, then that's socialists.
So I want to.
Buffalo's ran by socialists right now. It's ran by a socialist mayor right now.
This is the governor's race. The governor's race was decided with 300,000 votes. Remember that. Mm-hmm. 300,000 votes is what decided that governor's race. Watch this. Chuck Schumer decided his race in by over 752,000 votes over Joe Pinion, the Black Republican. Mm-hmm. Joe Pinion did not have the backing, the intensity and all that as Lee Zeldin, right? Mm-hmm. If we would have given these Republicans a shot, we never gave them a shot. Joe Pinion was never given his shot. And I'm interested, did Pastor Brian win his election?
Last time I checked, he was down like a few thousand votes. Right. I don't know if he lost the one. Like I really don't know.
I don't think he won because
he only had about 30% of the vote.
Okay, so he didn't win. Okay, so we're seeing, right, in places like New York, we're seeing in places like California, right, a completely different political spectrum here. We're seeing a completely different political spectrum. Then you have people like me, people like John Drake, I'm not sure if he's still in here, right, who they're excited about this. I'm actually about to make a TikTok against a Democrat who's crying for Texas, but happy about the rest of the nation. The Democrats are celebrating what happened because we lost, but we didn't lose that bad. So, Nick, what is the Democratic game plan going forward? When you look at states like Nevada that may just go red. See if I can go back to the state of Nevada here, right? Where you have a Republican candidate leading by almost 40,000 votes. How do you combat that? You don't. Actually, wait a second. I'm going to go, before you answer, I want to go back. Reno County is now going red. Eli County, White Pine County is now red. This is something that we haven't seen. Carson County is red. And Washoe County is red. So every county in Nevada is red except Clark County. That wasn't like that earlier this morning. It wasn't like that when you went to sleep. The Republicans are steady gaining, right? They're steady gaining in these states. In Cordero, again, Lombardo was a candidate that distanced himself from Trump.
Then you got to realize also Nevada has been purple. Arizona's been purple. And just like, look at New York. Like, even if he would have endorsed the guy going up against Chuck Schumer, it doesn't mean that he was going to win, because look at that map of New York. They got all the major cities in New York State under lock. Just like I stated, Buffalo's ran by a socialist. The mayor is a socialist. like Rochester, look, they're high in poverty. They had a black mayor that just got arrested for corruption a few years ago. These are the major cities in New York State. It's under Democratic stronghold.
So why was the hype that around Lee Zeldin so powerful? That's what I never understood. Why did we give Lee Zeldin all this time, attention, and money in a state where we didn't even think we were going to win?
Because Zeldin is from the more upper part of New York. Like, the more upstate you go, the more conservative you go. But as you go towards the big cities like Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, Schenectady, all the way down to the city. Then you go to the city, it's its own ball game in the city.
Like, we go to New York City right here.
Big boroughs, like go to Brooklyn, go to the Bronx, Manhattan. Those are big boroughs.
This is New York
heavily
City,
Democratic populated.
Chuck Schumer won in New York by 84.8. What happened?
Y'all wasting your time in New York. I'm not sure why y'all discussing New York. Y'all not gonna get New York.
Exactly.
No, the idea is not about. We knew we weren't going to get New York. We knew we weren't going to get New York. Yet we still put money. We put time into Lee Zeldin, right? When we could have been putting that money, we could have been putting that time somewhere where it actually mattered. Where is that somewhere that actually matters? Nevada. Lackford is leading right now. Their governor's race, the Republican, is also leading there. We could have put more attention behind Blake Masters, who was a very late candidate onto the scene. Why is it that New York is such a high investment point for Republicans and not Nevada?
It miscalculated on that. So, but in summary, the election, shout out to Donald Trump. I like how he's destroying the Republican Party. We would prefer Donald Trump to run than Ron DeSantis. Keep it up, Donald Trump. We would appreciate it. Thank you. Keep it up. No red wave is happening. We swept Pena. We're going to take out Herschel. We're going to take Arizona. We took Wisconsin. Not Wisconsin, but Maryland. So shout out to them.
Maryland always been blue, though, but Maryland always been blue. Maryland has always been blue. Like,
right.
Baltimore. Baltimore, we got Annapolis. They got Democratic stronghold. They're heavily populated, and I could see. And one thing that I do give y'all credit on, Mitch, y'all go into these. Y'all got the big cities on lock. I gotta give it to y'all.
So right here, everyone.
Not only do we have the big cities, we have the culture. Right, we have the pulse.
Had to get that to y'all too.
When it comes to morals and values, we have the pulse. When it comes to culture, celebrities, entertainers, movies, basketball, football, everything is going to be progressive and more liberal. And so we're winning that message. Democrats got to understand how to utilize that to our strengths. Stacey Abrams relied on that. She just wanted to run a celebrity movement, and she didn't really want to get in the trenches and really resonate with the people. That's why she lost. So we need to figure out what we're going to do with Stacey, because she's still a shining star. She may not be a front player. She may be better as a back player, more of a support person, like what she did for Joe Biden when he ran for presidency. And she ran that grassroots campaign to get them all the people
Well,
out there.
maybe y'all should focus on the guy in Maryland. Y'all should focus on the guy in Maryland.
I wanna turn because Mitch just said we took Maryland, we took Pennsylvania, right? And he made it seem as if the Republicans just did horrible. Right here on your map, everything that you see colored is Republican won district. Republicans flipped Arizona. Republicans flipped in Texas. Republicans flipped in Tennessee, Wisconsin, New York, Virginia, Georgia, Florida. We flipped in all of these places. Democrats flipped in Illinois. Expected. Michigan. Expected. Ohio. Expected. North Carolina. Remember, this is where Madison Cawthorn's district was, but he was primary, right? So it's not a shocker that you won any of these. No one is surprised by that. No one is shocked by that. Right, of course. Democrats, they came out, they outvoted us, maybe. But when it came down to it, Republicans still had a very, very high tide that is going to change the fabric of the 2024 election with power in the House and power in the Senate. Because Nevada's going red, and I believe Herschel Walker has what it takes to take the Republicans right over the edge in the Senate, and we're going to win Georgia.
Look, the only thing I could say, may the best party win. That's really all I can say. May the best party win.
I want to say it. I can't say it. I can't say it because the best party is not the Democrats. We saw it
the Democrat
party. In the midterm.
What I would like to know, from two Republicans, two conservatives, you guys, rock with that red, rock with that right because of your Christian values, because of your morals, because of your beliefs. How is it possible that you guys, 90% of the Christians, voted for Herschel Walker? Explain that for me. You guys are supposed to be the party of righteousness, of being spiritual, being deep in your beliefs. How is 90% of the Christian side? This is Raphael Warnock. He is the pastor of Martin Luther King Church, who you guys somewhat revere. You revere him depending on what the subject is. You tap dance around when you want to cherry pick and you support Martin Luther King. Now, but overall, y'all like to use Martin Luther King for the most part. And he's the pastor of his church. Even Herschel Walker, who don't even talk about church, who talked about assaulting his wife physically. He abandoned his kids.
Did a Warnock run his wife over? Did a Warnock not run his wife over? Didn't he not do it? That's documented. Didn't he not do that?
And also, we have to look at the debate. Herschel Walker said, instead of aborting them babies, how about you go baptize them babies? For someone who calls themselves a Christian, radical liberal, Raphael Warnock, like Kelly called him, radical liberal Raphael Warnock does not stand on his Christian belief, just like Beta Beto, just like Radical Schumer, just like Negative Nancy, who can't even take communion at the Catholic Church anymore. These are negative people that Christians will not be voting for.
Did he not run his wife over? Yes or no? Did he not run his wife over with his car? Yes or no? All right, here we go, man. Here we go again, man. Got dancing again, man.
He ran over his wife. He ran over his kids. He beat his wife. He did drugs. I mean, whatever baggage you want to put on Raphael Warnock, go for it. But why did you guys put up Herschel Walker?
I don't live in Georgia. I live in Texas. I don't live in Georgia. I live in Texas.
You don't live in Texas.
You guys are both, no, don't give me you don't live in Texas because you was in Texas.
I don't live in Georgia.
Hold up. You was in Texas just now.
When I post anything, hold on. Then when did I post anything about Herschel Walker? If anything, I posted on Kelvin King in Georgia. That's who I posted, Kelvin King. I posted Kelvin King.
I'm not hearing the answer to my question. He is the devil. Raphael Warnock is the devil. Tell me how you still have.
When did I endorse Herschel Walker? That's what I want to know. When when did I endorse Herschel Walker? I posted Kelvin King.
Last election, I got a lot of comebacks with it because I didn't support John Ossoff, but I supported Raphael Warnock in the runoff because I felt that the Republicans there, Kelly Loeffler and the other guy,
David Perdue,
they sold out. So I supported Raphael Warnock and I supported Kelly until she sold out on January 6th. Now, when you look at what he's done, he hasn't done anything. The only reason he won last time is because Trump said the election was stolen, so people didn't get out and vote because they thought it wasn't going to matter anyway. And two, you have Barack Obama down there. Now we have an election where the black vote we know isn't going out, right? And when it did go out, it voted Republican. Look at Stacey Abrams, who did not get.
So David Magan, did I hear you say that you voted for Raphael Warnock?
I didn't vote for him. I don't live in Georgia, but
he's not 18. Also, he's not 18.
But if you remember, same time around last year, I was getting a lot of slack for it because I was supporting him in his runoff election. I was supporting Warnock.
So do you support him right now in the runoff?
No, because he ran as the pastor. I was like, oh, he's a pastor, he's a Christian, all of this. Turns out none of that's true. He's not this great Christian man that he tried to pretend himself to be.
You support Herschel Walker or Raphael Warnock?
Absolutely. 100%.
Wow.
I told people this yesterday.
Hey, shout out.
If Herschel Walker wins the Senate election, he will be my new favorite senator.
We love Donald Trump. We love Ted Cruz. David Magan, you adding to it because we like Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, which is eroding the Republican Party, which is going to always help the Democrats. We appreciate that. As long as you guys...
Ted Cruz is going to win next year. What are you talking about? Ted Cruz is going to win next year. Ted Cruz is going to win next year. You know that, right?
As long as your party don't live up to your values and your morals, we got a shot.
So here's my problem.
Hold on.
The Democrats have no morals. The Democrats have
hold on. Democrat is going to beat Ted Cruz next year. Which Democrat is going to beat Ted Cruz next year?
They're going to throw Beto back in the room.
We got a shot.
Which Democrat is going to beat Ted Cruz next year?
They're going to throw Beto back into the room.
Not one.
The fact that Ted Cruz allowed Donald Trump to insult his wife and he phone banked for him. And then when he had a disaster in Texas, he took a cruise to Cancun. Ted Cruz. And you guys still support him. Hey, shout out to Ted Cruz. As long as you're around, we going to be around. As long as Ted Cruz around, we going to be around.
He blown out Beta O'Rourke. Listen, he blown out Robert O'Rourke. Listen, he blew him out in 2020. What are you talking about? He's gonna win again. Easily. He's gonna win again easily.
So 1 second. We just got into the last 10 minutes of the show. So I gotta stop it real quick and I gotta send this to the little video real quick. We'll be right back.
Shot.
We are back once again. Thank you all for hanging on with us during that break. I mean, it's funny. It's comical to think that Democrats are worried about morals and values.
That man's unbelievable.
Morals and values from the Democrat Party has no morals. The Democrat Party has no values. The Democrat Party has not cared about morals or values for a very long time. They haven't been able to do that for a very long time. And so when I hear them say, I'm like, you're serious or are you joking? Please tell me that you're joking. Someone said to stop talking about their pawpaw. I'm sorry. Their pawpaw's a Democrat. But it has to be said. The Democrats, time and time again, have continuously come in mainstream Democrats, the ones that are running for office, and they sell the black community this lie. They buy the lie time and time and time again. They sell my generation this lie, and it works time and time again. And I go back and I look and I say, and there was one thing that said, if you are young and aren't liberal, you don't have a heart. If you're old and not conservative, you don't have a brain. And it makes sense, because if you look at this generation and you look at a timeline of how these things go, the older a person gets, the more conservative, the more Republican they end up becoming. And the only group of people that don't do it is the black community. They're the only ones who don't do it. Why is that? You're from Florida. You're from a more of a blacker part of Florida. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what Mitch was talking about. Like Mitch, now I do agree with him on some stuff. You know, I'm like, they do got the culture. They do. Now, if you look in the Florida map, right, where the census won, at one point in time, the Tampa St. Pete area was blue when it came to governor.
I can pull it up here. Exit full screen. And where is this?
Tampa St. Pete area. So that's like Central Florida.
So we'll go to the governor's election
Look
here.
in 2018. Look in 2018. I believe it was blue for Gillum. And then if you look for this year, it was straight red.
So here is the map of the governor's election in Florida this year. Is it in this area?
Yep. Yeah, right there. Yep. St. Petersburg, Tampa was red.
You're seeing
back in 2018, I believe it was blue.
That it was red, right? So you can't say that it wasn't red, because here it's red all day long, right? So when you look here, right in this specific area right here where we're looking at Tampa, right? DeSantis wins that by a lot. You're looking at St. Petersburg, he wins that by a lot. One of the things that surprised a lot of people is the deficit that was in Orlando. It surprised me.
Yep.
And too early to call range if so much of the vote isn't in. And he even won the county of Miami-Dade, which is a blue county. He won that. Republicans are on a very strong pattern right here. Let's take a look.
I'm looking at it right now, right? I'm looking at it right now for 2018, right?
Abbott did better in Harris County than Donald Trump did last year. We're seeing this growth that it's not necessarily explainable. Let's go down south right here on the border, specifically Zapata County. That is normally blue, and it went red for this election and literally every election up and down its ballot, except maybe the county elections. Right? You're looking at the city of Austin, right? Beto O'Rourke did there what you would have expected him to do. You look at the place of San Antonio. He
Yeah,
didn't.
Houston, San Antonio, like all the major cities, Beto did good at.
El Paso, he did good there. But when you look at the city of Houston, he didn't do as good. Why is that? Because the black vote in Texas, the male black vote, started to change. They don't know how to stop it. They don't know how to start it. Democrats are scared. And we saw that right there with Mitch.
Yeah, because even, yes, like I said, so for 2018, right, the governor election, Tampa was blue.
Right.
Tampa was blue. But now this year, it's straight red. It's straight red.
Right.
So, and that is definitely, I'm not taking nothing away from Ron DeSantis. He did his thing, but Trump definitely did his thing and turned Tampa red as well.
Right. So we see that there's a strong trend. We're going to end up closing. We're going to close this out right here. We have a minute left. We see that there was a very strong trend, right, that led a lot of these small places red, and that we didn't see that huge red wave that we wanted to see, but we did see a red underwater wave, right? And under the water, when you actually look into this in these blue counties and blue areas, Republicans did a lot better than they were expected to do in some of these blue areas. Even going as far as flipping and picking up enough seats to flip the House and get the Senate so close that all we need is Nevada. No one would have ever thought Nevada would have came down to this, but Nevada is coming down to this. Cordero, you have any last words?
Yeah. Just like we talked about earlier, I don't think we should move off of Trump right now. Just let him have his swan song, let's support him, and then, yeah, we need to start looking more into backing the new wave, of Republicans, but this is still Trump party because there's not one person outside of Trump that could do 40,000. Not one. So let's just keep it real. Not one, not even Ron. He's not doing 40,000.
And for those of you who have no clue what 40,000 is, that's the amount of people that's coming to Trump's rallies. He's selling them out. So, Cordero, thank you for coming on. This is the first time we've had Cordero on one of the shows, but Cordero was an average caller when we were on the old network. I mean, he called in all the time, and that's now you're putting the face with the voice. Cordero, thank you for coming on.
Yep.
Listen, people, it's down to the wire, right? And some are saying Trump, some are rocking with DeSantis. It's just all about who you think has the ability to win in 2024. Who do you think can win in 2024? And as of right now, did the red wave happen? Unfortunately not. But nobody else can pull the 40,000 like Donald Trump did. Right now, this is still Trump's party. This is still Trump's movement. The question is, how much longer is it going to be Trump's party? How much longer is it going to be Trump's movement? Only time will tell, and only the future we will see. Thank you all for tuning in on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in on Facebook, Instagram. I'll be right with y'all in 1 sec. Love y'all.